Hello and welcome to our SOMAX webinar series. In this webinar, we'll be discussing how the Internet of Things will change the future of CMMS. I'm your presenter, Philip Teal, and I'm very excited to be here and have the ability to present this information to our audience today. Some information about me. My name is Philip, and I am our Manager of Marketing and Digital Content here at SOMAX. Jay Wright was originally scheduled to be our presenter, who's our VP of Sales, as well as a former maintenance manager with over 14 years experience in the bakery industry. Unfortunately, he had to change his schedule, so I jumped at the opportunity to step in and present this information. As I'm really passionate about the Internet of Things, I've been involved in over 20 CMMS implementations, and I'm very involved in our Internet of Things efforts here at SOMAX, from both mapping out how the software is going to interact with the Internet of Things, as well as determining the future course of how our application will work using the Internet of Things and creating more powerful applications for our customers. So to give a quick overview, we're going to run through a few different segments during this presentation. We're going to go through a quick overview of CMMS and where we're at today. Then we're going to go into the Internet of Things and provide some information about that. And then we're going to move into our examples of the applications within SOMAX. So first things first, how has maintenance management performed in the past? Well, we had our clipboards and paper, we had our desktop computers with on-site software, we had complex reporting systems, and we had poor communication and little connectivity with other departments. Maintenance was on its own. There was little connectivity even within maintenance as to who was doing what, when it was being performed, how it was being performed, and the siloed nature of the systems that were used in the past, and some are still currently used today, really blocked us from being able to communicate back and forth intradepartmentally and interdepartmentally with other departments such as sanitation, QA, your purchasing and procurement, into different departments such as those throughout your facility or your operation. What we have now is we've moved to the point where we have cloud-based or online solutions. No more on-site software, no server setup, no data management. Your CMMS provider is going to provide all of those services for you. We have mobile devices and mobile apps. Increased connectivity through your technician carrying around a mobile device, a phone or a tablet, instead of having to move back and forth to the computer, attempting to close work orders, create work orders, get information about the system, get paperwork orders from the maintenance manager. All those steps have been replaced by simple interfaces on a mobile device. We've got a requester awareness via notifications where everybody is connected within the facility by notifications, messages, information that is being passed back and forth within the CMMS solution, so that there's no lag time between the initiation of communication and when the desired person is going to receive that communication. Again, enhanced connectivity and communication. Maintenance management software has really moved to become a platform for communication within the maintenance department and for the maintenance department to communicate with other departments within your operation. So the benefits of our current maintenance software: we have faster onboarding and increased uptake. So we have more people that are able to use the software more effectively, and our training time, our setup time, and implementation time have been cut drastically. We've also been able to cut the cost of that training and implementation to remove barriers for companies of different sizes in every industry to get involved in CMMS. We've lowered the cost. We have a higher participation rate by maintenance staff. Almost everybody is familiar with mobile devices, whether it's a phone or a tablet. And instead of having to slog through some desktop application, we just have mobile devices out with very simple, streamlined interfaces so technicians can get the information they need and perform the processes that they need to perform, as opposed to going through an entire software just to find one thing they need to do. We have faster access to the information. All the information in a mobile app is going to be real time. Everything's coming in as it happens. So there's no lag between when something is decided it needs to be done and when it's actually sent to the technician so that they can work on it. We have more useful information. We're able to get more information from our equipment, from our assets. And this is really where the Internet of Things comes in, and we'll be discussing this a little bit later. And again, we have better facility maintenance overall. So what does that mean? Less breakdowns. That means your technicians are able to work on the equipment that needs to be worked on or the assets that need to be worked on, as opposed to checking and rechecking assets that have nothing wrong with them over and over every day, which is going to save us time and it's going to save us money. Moving into the meat of our presentation, we're just going to briefly overview what the Internet of Things is and some of the powerful applications that have been built from it. So the Internet of Things is a network of devices connected to each other and the Internet. It uses sensors for data collection, and we create powerful analytics with modeling and predictive capabilities. But what does that mean? Basically, anything can become a smart thing. A chair with a sensor on it can tell you if somebody's sitting in it. A parking space with a sensored meter can tell you if somebody's parking in it. A piece of equipment that has a sensor on it for temperature can tell you if a motor is overheating, or if airflow is reduced, or if it's vibrating too much, if it's run for too long. Any of these type of pieces of condition information can be monitored using the sensors connected to the internet, which is then connected back into your CMMS. Quick overview about the Internet of Things: estimated to be over 20 billion devices connected to the IoT by 2020. That's just scratching the surface of what can be accomplished with the Internet of Things. Some estimates are much higher than that. We're also just getting into what the application for businesses means with the Internet of Things. What does it mean to you to be able to connect all of your devices, to be able to get all that information, to be able to monitor and trend and analyze all that data? And how are we going to do that within our software so that we can present you as the customer great information and present it in a way that's understandable, so you only have to see what you need to see and be able to apply that to create actionable insights. Again, software applications are the true power of the Internet of Things, and by that I mean that software applications are the backbone. All this data is fantastic. It's great that we have all this information coming in that we can use, but what we do with that information is very important. And here at SOMAX, as with many other companies that are getting into the Internet of Things and are already involved in this market, our job is to get you that information and to create those insights and give you a pathway that allows you to really do something with the information. So the power of the Internet of Things when it comes to maintenance is that we can track vital equipment data. We can store and display live sensor data so we can see what's going on in our facility. We can get snapshots over and over again of our entire facility. We can receive notifications when sensors read abnormal data. And then we can track that trend data online or on our mobile apps to ensure that we can see which direction that the information is going. If we get one small spike in temperature, for example, but everything else seems to be okay, we may not have a massive issue. But if we see that trend data moving upward into a dangerous zone, we know something's happening. We can communicate important events in real time. With the mobile apps, that means we can get the correct maintenance technician the work order. We can get the correct information to the purchasing agent so we know which inventory we need to order. We can send all the information to the correct people to ensure that our work is always seen by the right people and completed by the right people. And further, what we can really do is we can interact with our users in a meaningful way. What that means is automatic work order generation based on that condition, purchase requests based on what needs to be completed from those work orders. All these types of great applications, and even more as we move into the future, can be accomplished by interacting with our users and our customers in a meaningful way using the Internet of Things. We get asked this question a lot, actually. Why should we do this? What's the point of integrating maintenance software into the Internet of Things? And there are several, and I'll just go through a few right now. One is we can go beyond just collecting that data to create what we call actionable insights. Those are those work orders with tasks already laid out so we know exactly what we need to do based on the condition of that equipment. We can automatically generate those work orders and work requests so that we never have to have somebody moving back and forth creating work orders unless it's necessary at that time for that person to do that. That entire process is handled using the integration with the Internet of Things based on the condition of our equipment. We can eliminate unnecessary preventive maintenance. This is a big one. Unnecessary preventive maintenance is a drain on our time, and it's a drain on our important resources, which is our maintenance personnel. By eliminating those unnecessary preventive maintenance routines, what we can do is create that real-time, when needed, maintenance so that we ensure that issues don't become problems, but we're also not out doing work that doesn't need to be done at that moment. We can collect that real-time meter information for your entire facility. Because it's not nearly as cost prohibitive as older systems, the Internet of Things with sensors reading all that information and then that information being pulled into a CMMS like SOMAX, you have very few barriers to entry. So you can really get involved and create a snapshot and get that information of your entire facility, not just parts of it. And again, we can automate those usage-based work orders. That's a big one. We'll go over that several times during this presentation, and you'll see a few examples of that in just a minute. Speaking of our examples, we're going to get to one right now. We're going to show the example of a meter-based work order. This is actually a process that people have been doing for years. The only difference is by doing it within the Internet of Things, we're allowing ourselves to see more pieces of information. It's less cost prohibitive, and that information is being pulled directly into your CMMS, in this case SOMAX, through the internet. So there's no connectivity issues. We don't have massive amounts of setup and programming involved to pull that information. It's much easier and much more straightforward than it ever has been in the past. So I'm going to jump out of my presentation just for a second, and I'm actually going to go into the SOMAX web application. What I have here is I have what's called an HVAC 12 meter is what I've named it, and this is just a runtime hour meter. You can see here that our reading unit is in hours, and currently I have a reading of 1500 hours. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trigger an event, which is that our reading has now jumped to 2000 hours. And we're going to record this. All of this would be happening in the background. There would be no manual effort here. We actually have it set up where you would never need to see any of these screens. These meter recordings are taken automatically, and then everything from there, the process is kicked off, which is what you'll see here in just a second. We're going to click OK here, and we can see down here that our meter readings have been recorded. Now I'm going to move over here into my BlueStack system, and what this is doing is all this is emulating my Android system. SOMAX works on both Android and iOS, and to show it during this presentation, I'm simply going to use my BlueStack so that you can see what's going on in the app. Now I refresh my work order screen here, and what you can see is that this work order generated from that meter has been created. And you can see I have HVAC unit has run 500 hours since last inspection and should be inspected and the filter replaced if necessary. This is a very simple work order here. I have a couple of tasks to manually inspect the unit, replace it if necessary, inspect the compressor fan, and clean the compressor fan if necessary. I'm going to go through here, and I'm actually going to complete this work order. 1 hour. We're going to say there was nothing wrong with it. I just cleaned it. We're going to say cleaned, and we're going to complete this work order. This is our food safety product, so you'll actually see the food safety conditions pop up. If you're a facility that's not in food safety, but you have other safety conditions, we can add those in to ensure that every time a work order is completed, there is a check off by the maintenance personnel completing that work to ensure that everything has been done, all of our I's dotted, all of our T's crossed. I'm going to hit yes here. Now this work order you'll see is going to disappear from my mobile app. Very simple, a very short process. The work itself would take a bit longer, but we spent probably 7 to 10 seconds actually involved in the app closing that work order. And that work order was automatically generated based on that meter. Now, a second example we're going to go into is actually going to be more on the condition-based side of our Internet of Things monitoring. I have a meter here set up. It's just called HVAC 16, and this is actually a meter that's set up to measure our air pressure, so our cubic feet per minute. This is going to actually be set to kick off a PM, again, a preventive maintenance protocol, automatically based on the condition of this HVAC unit. So I'm going to go in here again. I'm going to trigger this event. Again, this would all be happening in the background. You wouldn't have to do any of this manually. And we actually have this meter set to trigger a work order if the cubic feet per minute, the air pressure drops below 1250 CFM. So I'm going to just put in here 1100, so it's dropped below as a meter reading. And we're going to see here again, a work order has been created. Now if I jump back over here into my BlueStacks program, and I refresh my work orders, in the actual SOMAX mobile app, I'd be able to just pull down my screen and it would refresh everything automatically. But within BlueStacks, because it's running on my computer, it's slightly different. So you wouldn't have to jump in and out of work orders. I can see here the HVAC unit has a CFM reading below spec, manually inspect the unit and fix if necessary. Again, this work order was automatically created based on the condition of this piece of equipment. I'm going to go into that work order here. And this one I'm just going to leave open for right now so that we can see something here in just a minute. Now, the next and last example that we're going to show is one that's very important, especially in production facilities, but really everywhere. It's going to again be an example of an HVAC unit, but we're going to be looking at temperature on a motor, which is applicable to many industries and many situations in maintenance where motors are giving us an issue because their temperature is rising above our specification. Again, so I'm going to move in here. I'm going to show this meter. So what I have here is I just have a meter called IoT temperature 20. And this is just the temperature sensor on HVAC unit 20. This is just the temperature sensor on HVAC unit 20. This is in temperature. It's in degrees Fahrenheit. And this is set here to trigger a work order anytime the temperature rises above 225 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to go in here and manually record this reading. Again, this would all be happening in the background with sensors to 250 degrees. We're going to record this meter reading. I'm going to hit OK here. And when I go back into my program, because we had it update automatically there, the temperature on this unit is above specification. Inspect and repair as necessary. And here's that HVAC unit 20. So I click on this. Again, I'm going to go through. I'm going to complete any of my tasks that are necessary for this work order. Let's say that I actually had to repair it. I'm going to say it took me 2 hours. The failure was that it was broken. And we're just going to say that we had to replace the motor due to damage. Very simple. That might actually take us a little bit more than 2 hours. We're just going to stick 2 hours in there for right now. We're going to complete this. Again, our food safety conditions. In any other industry, you'd have a different set of conditions or no conditions at all if you don't need them. We're going to hit yes here, and that work order is now gone. So we can see here that we have very powerful application when it comes to being able to monitor our condition of our equipment and our assets, set our high and low thresholds to ensure that we have the correct numbers. So if we start to trend outside of those thresholds into buffer zones, then into critical zones, we can ensure that work is performed immediately, and we can ensure that inspections are also performed immediately when they're necessary, as opposed to just on a schedule basis. By using those sensors to collect that data, we can ensure that thousands of little eyes are watching our equipment all the time, so that we're very cost effective and we're very efficient in our preventive maintenance. And we can include those recommended repair procedures on those threshold-based work orders via tasks. We can set as many as we want. We can set them to as many sensors as we desire, and that way we can ensure that our information is always churning through and we're building all of that data so that we can enhance our maintenance routines and make ourselves more efficient. So when all is said and done, what are we really concerned about when it comes to the Internet of Things and integrating it with our CMMS? There's 5 major benefits that we've really focused on today. Those are reducing asset wear and equipment breakdown, eliminating unnecessary preventive maintenance routines, tracking our inventory usage and minimizing wasted materials and time by using our continuous asset and equipment monitoring system to ensure that we have the right parts available when that equipment needs them. We can keep our employees and our tenants happy, whether we have work requests coming in automatically from HVAC units in remote areas if we're property managers, or if we have equipment that we know has a possibility to break down in the near future, we can have our mechanics work on that equipment so that we keep our facility or our operation running smoothly to ensure that they're not under the gun constantly trying to put out fires. And at the end of the day, we create more time to better our facility and enhance our operation, making ourselves more efficient and more cost effective in the process. And in summary, like we said today, we're going to eliminate that wasteful spending replacing parts that still have life left in them. We're not going to overlube or overgrease any of our pieces of equipment. We don't need to have a tech check HVAC units out in remote locations every day or every week or even every month. We know based on the condition of our assets, if our motor is working well in our compressors, if the system that's controlling our refrigeration units, say we're in a bakery or something that's freezer heavy, we know those are always going to be working correctly without having to send technicians or maintenance personnel out to check on them constantly. We can use our condition monitoring to get ahead of problems before they happen. So before something breaks down, we'll have the opportunity to take care of it and fix it in that moment, in real time, and in an easy, simple interface using our system so that that maintenance technician or that mechanic knows what's happening all the time in their facility. We can use our mobile devices to instantly send that critical information to those maintenance technicians, as I just mentioned. And at the end of the day, our overall goal is to save time and money using CMMS and the Internet of Things. So moving forward, where are we headed? Where are we going with all of this? Right now we're experiencing a revolution in maintenance management with the Internet of Things. We're completely connecting facilities, allowing for total immersion from all departments centered around the maintenance team. There's applications that we're working on for the next 5 years, even the next 10 years, that are going to completely revolutionize how we perform maintenance in facilities and operations of all types. And what we see right now is we see a very bright future for maintenance, one where we're connected and we're using the Internet of Things to really enhance how we do maintenance and how efficient we can be. I'd just really like to say thank you to everybody that came today. Thank you so much for being here to hear this information and to learn more about SOMAX and the Internet of Things. If you'd like to get more information, please visit us at www.somax.com. You can check out our blog for great articles on the Internet of Things, maintenance management, different maintenance techniques, information from our experts that we've taken from years and years in the maintenance industry. All sorts of great articles and information about maintenance can be found on our blog. And you can take a look at our events page at somax.com/events for more webinars, presentations, and shows that we are attending and speaking at, so you can get more information about how we're driving this industry forward. And for any direct inquiries, you can go to info@somax.com, or you can call 1-800-673-0961. Again, thank you so much for attending our webinar, and we'll hold right now and we'll get some questions afterward to see if there's any more information that anybody would like to receive. Good luck in all your maintenance endeavors.